So a common question that I get from my clients, my birthing mothers-to-be, is, but what will other people think about me if I say that I want to have a natural birth, or God forbid, a home birth, or maybe even free birth? Others will just judge me and they'll tell me not to do it, and how will that go down? And women are really worried about that because inherently as a woman, we do care about what other people think of us a lot of the time, unfortunately, and we are used to socially seek permission from our friends and our family. We're used to distrusting ourselves and not really being aligned with our intuition or our instincts because we're just not taught or raised to be that way, are we? We're taught to kind of conform to what society wants us to do if you want to be a good girl. And it's especially difficult during pregnancy because it's such a highly sensitive time that you really do want the approval of everyone else, and you might feel really judged by other people if you're going against the status quo. So it's really common to be concerned about what other people will think of you if you decide to go for a natural birth experience. But you know what? It's none of your business what other people think of you. It really isn't. You have to just be comfortable with what you think of you, because other people, they may be outraged. They may claim that you're highly irresponsible if you choose to have a natural birth, because it's almost like insulting the choices they've made, right? And but that's not actually the truth at all. So that's kind of their issue. So my advice to you would be just get on board with what you feel comfortable doing, and don't necessarily share that with everyone else, because otherwise you're kind of inviting a situation of conflict into your life. You don't have to justify shit to somebody else, even if it's your mother, even if it's your husband, even if it's your sister or your best friend. Maybe keep the fact that you're going to have a natural birth, if that's what you indeed decide to do, to yourself, to avoid having any conflict, because you really don't need that. It's already an anxiety producing time being pregnant and in the last few weeks of pregnancy, so you need to really kind of shield yourself from any other people's negative emotions, be that your friends or family, or be it medical professionals. So you don't have to lie, but you can have like a quiet power and dignity and poise around the birth choices that you've made, and you really don't need to share those if you think it's going to be met with outrage or disapproval, or people maybe really trying to aggressively assert their viewpoints on how you should be giving birth. It's the last thing you need. So be very discerning in who you tell if you decide to tell anybody, and decide how you feel about certain questions, like what really would you feel comfortable saying. So you could do like a little bit of a role play with yourself, because people will ask all kinds of probing questions, sometimes even rude questions, and you need to kind of know what you feel comfortable sharing and what you feel comfortable just sort of shrugging your shoulders at and smiling and hoping they'll just go away with their probing questions, right? So the questions they might ask is things like, when are you due? You may not want to give the date away, because then it puts you in a situation where you might literally be harassed when it's your due date every single day as to whether you've had the baby or not. So I think a nice way to avoid that happening and feeling like you're under pressure to perform to give birth is just saying, oh, in the autumn or in the summer or in the winter around this month, being a little bit vague about it, because the due dates can be 5 weeks apart. Your full term 37 weeks and still at 42. So why pin yourself down to a certain date where people could then get very kind of assertive with you to find out more and putting pressure on you essentially that you don't need. They may also ask, are you having twins? You seem so big, you're about to explode. You just need to have a response that you're like comfortable with, like, oh no, everything's normal, or I feel fine, I feel great, and and just laugh it off. They might ask things like, are you going to have an epidural? Are you going to have a C-section? Are you going to get induced? Are you going to eat your placenta? They may all be things that you find quite personal and you don't really necessarily want to have discussions about, right? And even, do you know what you're having? You know, we never found out what we were having because my husband wanted it to be a surprise, and I'm quite glad that he did because it was lovely having that surprise at the end. But even saying, no, I don't know, and la la la, people are like, oh my goodness, well, I would have to know, and oh gosh, you know, why are you listening to your husband? You should do it this way and that way. And it's just like, I don't really want to justify why you've decided not to find out. And same goes the other way around. You don't want to have to justify if you have found out. So you decide what you feel comfortable sharing and how you want to do it based on the impact you think it's going to have, because you really need to shield yourself and put yourself and your baby in a bubble of what you feel comfortable divulging. And if you don't want to be critiqued and you don't want to feel like you need permission from people and you don't need approval, then just be quietly confident and stay in your own power, and don't worry about what other people are thinking about you. Just worry about what you think of you and find your own personal peace. You ultimately just have to ask the question, will this serve me? Will this serve my baby? And will this serve my birth? Anything that causes you fear and stress can actually, you know, cause all kinds of problems for you hormonally and even through the birth experience. So yeah, just always ask those questions. Will this serve me? Will this serve my baby? Will it serve my birth? If the answer is no, then don't go down that road and just quietly smile and change the subject, or bat them off with a bit of a vague response. That's it for today.